Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Adam, you're watching PictureLocked, and today we're back with another movie recommendation video. Last time I told you about my favorite movies from film school, and today I'm going to tell you my three favorite so bad they're good movies. First up, I want to talk about Vampire's Kiss from Robert Bierman in 1988. So whether you know it or not, I'm sure you've all seen screenshots from this movie because of how ridiculous Nick Cage's performance is.
Think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to.
Yep, it's that one. So the thing about this movie is that honestly it wouldn't belong on this list if it weren't for Nick Cage, because it was originally written to be a situational tragicomedy. And it works pretty well as one. The filmmaking is competent, it's pretty well directed, and it's usually pretty well acted as well. The thing is, Nick Cage's performance is so over the top and insane that it kind of just overshadows all of the actual situational comedy that they were going for, and just makes it a straight up comedy. So the plot of the movie is essentially Nick Cage playing a character named Peter Lowe as he slowly descends into madness, and this is seemingly due to a combination of loneliness and an inability to understand why he's such a dirtbag. So of course, as any normal person would, he starts to believe that he's a vampire to kind of rationalize those thoughts and try to make sense of why he thinks no one will ever love him. The thing is, even within that rationalization, his one relationship throughout the movie with a psychosis-induced hallucination of a vampire girlfriend falls apart in the end. It leaves you with a bit to think about, and there's definitely a little bit of interesting analysis that could be done with this movie, but unfortunately I doubt many people who saw it left the theater thinking, wow, I can't wait to dig into this and analyze it, because they were too busy wondering if the real Nick Cage needed to end up in a mental institution.
I have gotten out of bed in the morning and looked in the mirror just to make sure I was still there, and I was.
Which I guess is actually kind of a testament to how good his performance was at times. Like, he definitely can play an insane person pretty damn well. So yeah, if you like Nick Cage or are at all interested in acting, I highly recommend this movie because it's somehow both a masterclass in how to portray an insane person and also a lesson in things you should never do as an actor. Like, you know, change your accent between every single shot.
Hey, do I get waited on today or what? I've been sitting here for 15 minutes.
Right away, sir. Right away.
Next up, we have what might just be the best stoner comedy of all time. It's called Reefer Madness, and it was made in the middle of the 1930s when panic surrounding weed was fresh and widespread, which means that a lot of people knew that they were afraid of it, but they didn't really know anything about it. The film was originally funded and produced by a small church group, but soon after it was completed, a dude named Dwayne Esper, who made his living off of exploitation films, realized that it had much more potential as a sensationalist piece of propaganda than as like an informational video. So naturally, good old Dwayne bought the rights to Reefer Madness and then recut it slightly to make it even more raunchy. After that, he was able to have it shown across nearly the entire US, which is horrifying to say the least. So at this point, I'm sure you're thinking, well, great, this all sounds awesome, dude, but what is the actual plot of the movie? And you see, if I knew myself, I would absolutely tell you, but I'm not sure that I can, because this is the most disorienting movie that I have ever seen in my entire life. So the two main reasons for that are the fact that the audio, at least in the unremastered version that I watched, is nearly impossible to understand, and then also the fact that it's so poorly shot that trying to orient yourself spatially is nearly impossible. The thing is, even without those two problems, I still think it would be kind of hard to follow because the plot just didn't need to be that convoluted or complicated in the first place at all. It's a silly movie about weed, you guys. Why? Anyway, yeah, this all makes it a little bit hard to recommend because it is just definitely a chore to watch at times. But I've got to include it on this list for a few reasons. First and foremost, because of all the movies here, it's gotta be the one that made me genuinely laugh the most. The movie makes the claim that weed is more dangerous than cocaine or heroin, and then portrays people under the influence as, I guess, cackling serial killers is a good descriptor. It then goes as far as to show you that weed will make you cheat on your significant other, or, you know, become a rapist or a murderer, or naturally jump out of a window because you've ruined your life to that degree. It's all so over the top and ridiculous that it's kind of impossible not to laugh at. And it's honestly kind of hard to believe that anyone took this movie seriously, even in 1936. Anyway, overall, I really can't recommend this movie highly enough, but only to people who have what it takes to make it through all of the terrible parts, and who are going to find the little gems of comedy actually funny, because I definitely understand that a lot of people don't find, like, stoner humor good, but if you do, and you think that you're willing to wade through a bunch of shit, then this is a great movie, and you should definitely watch it. Last but absolutely not least, I have to include Troll 2 on this list. If The Room is the Citizen Kane of bad movies, then I think I'd say that this is the Casablanca of bad movies, because it's just so genuine and silly in such a good and terrible way that it's kind of impossible not to love. So the plot of this movie is once again all over the place, with some of the most blatant plot holes that I've ever seen in my life, but essentially it tells the story of a family vacationing in a small mountain town called Nilbog.
Nilbog! It's goblin spelled backwards!
Little do they know, all of the citizens of Nilbog are actually goblins in disguise. Yeah, you heard that right, goblins. There aren't even any actual trolls in the movie Troll 2. Hell, this movie doesn't even actually have anything to do with the first Troll movie. The publishers just decided that they needed some way to make it marketable, and so they decided to make it a sequel, even though it is very clearly not. Anyway, the goblins in this movie are all vegetarians, so instead of just eating the humans, they have to feed them this weird green goo first that turns them into plant-human hybrids. Luckily, Joshua, the 10-year-old protagonist of the film, already knew about the goblins before going to Nilbog thanks to his ghost grandpa, but neither of the parents believed him, so it didn't really do any good. This whole part of the plot is super confusing because the grandpa is apparently able to assume a physical form, freeze time, and even will objects into existence. So why does he not just appear to the parents to save the family? Or, just freeze time and get them all out of Nilbog? Or even just summon them all assault rifles? I have no idea. So yeah, the goblins try to trick the family into eating food laced with the goo, but thanks to Joshua, at one point peeing on a table full of food, they fail.
And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it!
Eventually, the rest of the family figures it out, and well, I won't spoil too much because it really does get even more wild from there, but I figured the best way to kind of get you in on the idea was to give you a little taste of the actual story. I also want to talk a little bit about the production behind this movie because it's also really strange. So the screenplay was originally written by a woman named Rosella Drudy, or Drode, or I have no idea. But the point is, she intended it to have a strong anti-vegetarian message, as weird as that sounds, and it's, not exactly subtle.
Eggs. Bacon.
Are you crazy, boy? We're vegetarians here in Nilbog. Didn't you know that?
The movie was then directed by her husband, Claudio Fragrasso. So both Claudio and Rosella, as well as the entire crew, were apparently nearly impossible to understand due to their thick Italian accents and broken English. And the cast was made up of entirely English speakers, so this makes for some really weird, character direction throughout the movie, and also some really interesting takes on American culture. Because of all that, I definitely say that it's the weirdest good bad movie I've ever seen, but the best part is it does all of that in such a cohesively bad package that it's still pretty easy to watch. So yeah, of all the movies on my list, this is probably the one that I'd recommend the most, especially to people who don't watch a lot of good bad movies, because it's kind of a good entry point. It's easy to watch, yet it's also simultaneously terrible. It's great. Just treat yourself, and if you haven't seen it yet, definitely watch this movie. So that's it. Those are my 3 favorite so bad they're good movies. If you have any recommendations that I missed or things that you think should be included on this list, please be sure to drop them down in the comments below. Also, if you hadn't seen any of these movies before and you watched them because of my recommendation, I'd love to hear what you think. And I'm so sorry if you didn't enjoy them, because that's completely understandable. Be sure to check out the previous video where I recommended my favorite movies from my first year at film school. And yeah, I guess that'll do it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Drop a like, drop a subscription. Okay, bye.